In today's video, I'm going to teach you guys all about correction waves in Elliott Wave. We're going to discuss the three different types of correction waves, which are zigzags, flats, and triangles. And after a brief introduction into each, I'm going to go more into depth on zigzags and the three different types of zigzags that there are: single zigzags, double zigzags, and triple zigzags. Now, just a quick reminder before we do get started, this is part 4 of this Elliott Wave tutorial series. If you haven't yet watched the first 3 parts, I'd highly recommend you do that first. I'll link part 1 in the top right corner now, but all 3 previous parts will be in the description below. In this video, I'll be referencing things that have happened in the past 3 parts, so make sure you know those before watching this, and then come back here after. In Elliott Wave, correction waves are quite a bit more varied than motive waves. And from watching the previous parts of this series, you found that there really only are 2 different types of motive waves: impulses and diagonals. With corrections, we have 3 different types of patterns, but each of those types of patterns has variations of themselves as well. Furthermore, with these corrections, the terminations are much less predictable than mapping out impulses, so we must exercise more patience and flexibility in analysis when corrections are occurring. One super important characteristic about corrections is that they are never 5s. Only motive waves are 5s. So any initial 5-wave move against the larger trend is never the end of a correction. So for example, if you see price history that looks like this, where it's a clear 5 waves upwards, and then we have this 5-wave move downwards, this 5-wave move cannot be the full correction of this larger 5-wave move. It must be just the start of the correction, aka the A wave. This is one thing we can be absolutely sure of when we're trying to map out where we are in a correction. Corrections typically come in 2 different styles. The first are known as sharp corrections that angle steeply against the larger trend. In blue here, you can see this 3-wave move from the top comes very quick and steep after we hit it. And the second style we see is a sideways correction. Now, sideways corrections typically contain a movement that carries back to or beyond its starting level, but they still have a net retracement. So what I mean by that is if you look at this green move right here, you can see that after we pushed downwards, we pushed almost back to the top before we actually headed downwards to finish off the move. So this move right here nearly brought us back to our starting level, but looking at the final wave here of the correction, we did still have a net retracement. When it comes to corrections, there are 3 main categories that they all fit into. They are either zigzags, flats, or triangles. Each of these 3 different categories of corrections come with their own rules, guidelines, and styles that they follow. I'm going to give you a brief introduction of what they might look like, and then we'll start to dive into their characteristics. So the first one is a zigzag. Now, it's important to remember that all simple corrections are going to come in A, B, C patterns, but each of these waves, the A, B, and C, are of course made up of other waves. In a zigzag, the A wave is a 5-wave move, as you can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The B wave is a 3-wave move, A, B, C itself, and the C wave is a 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this whole thing right here is known as a zigzag, and it can be labeled as an overall structure as an A, B, C. Now, not to overwhelm you with too much information right off the bat, but just keep in mind there are also 3 different types of zigzags: single zigzags, double zigzags, and triple zigzags. Next up, let's take a look at flats. Now, whereas zigzags came in 5, 3, 5 patterns, flats are 3, 3, 5. So the A wave of a flat is a 3-wave move, the B wave is a 3-wave move as well, and the C wave is a 5-wave move. And just like with zigzags, there are 3 different types of flats. We have regular flats, expanded flats, and running flats. Don't worry too much about the variations right now. Just remember that flats are 3, 3, 5. We'll get into all the different types shortly. And finally, we have triangles. Now, I know I was just telling you that all simple corrections are ABCs. Well, triangles break that rule. They're actually labeled A, B, C, D, E, as they have 5 waves. And actually, if you remember diagonals from our motive wave section, triangles are very similar. However, diagonals were labeled with numbers, triangles are used in corrections, and they're therefore labeled with letters. Each of the letters A through E have 3 waves in them. So as you can see, ABC, 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 ABC. And if we're going to label this triangle, it's A, B, C, D, E. And once again, just like zigzags and flats, triangles also have three different types. There are contracting triangles, barrier triangles, and expanding triangles. There is also one extra variation of a triangle, and it's known as a running triangle. For now, just remember that a triangle subdivides into 5 waves, labeled A, B, C, D, E, and each of those waves is made up of an ABC itself. If you like this video so far, just a quick reminder to click that subscribe button below. This will help me out a ton, and it'll only take you a couple of seconds. Not only that, you'll also get a notification when the next part of this series goes live. So now, let's take a step back and look at zigzags in a bit more detail. As a quick reminder, a single zigzag is a simple 3-wave pattern, labeled A, B, C. Now each of these waves subdivides where the A and the C are 5-wave moves, and the B is a 3-wave move itself. One of the most important things to realize about a zigzag is that the B wave is significantly lower than the start of wave A. So wave A starts all the way up here. Wave B cannot retrace up something like this. This would no longer look like a zigzag. Aside from that, zigzags are pretty straightforward. In terms of where you might see one, if we think back about our impulse, our 5-wave structure that moves the market upwards, our 2 waves, which you can remember are labeled as ABCs, are typically zigzags. And on the other hand, our 4 waves, which are also ABCs, are rarely zigzags. So if you're labeling a 5-wave pattern and you come across a 2-wave that you think you can label as a zigzag, you're probably on the right track. And if you think you've labeled a 4-wave as a zigzag, you might want to rethink it before you move forward. It's not impossible for it to be correct, but just remember that we're always trying to find probabilities in the market, and so labeling something with a rare chance is not always your best bet. As I was telling you before, there are 3 different types of zigzags. The simple zigzag, which we just went over, which is just the basic ABC pattern. And then there are double and triple zigzags. Now, double and triple zigzags are essentially exactly what they sound like. Basically, we have multiple zigzags that happen in succession of each other. This happens particularly when the first doesn't retrace very far. It's known in the market that both time and retracement amount trend oppositely from each other. So if we have a move that doesn't retrace very far, that's when you can start to look for double and triple zigzags to make up a lot of time overall. However, keep in mind that these are really rare patterns. They don't happen very often, so if you're labeling them, make sure that you're not missing something else. When we have these zigzags that are in succession of each other, they're split by a 3-wave pattern, which I have labeled in yellow here. Of course, this yellow wave can also be labeled as an ABC. Now, in terms of labeling this overall structure, these 3-wave moves that are counter-trend to the correction are known as X waves. They're reactionary waves, and thus they're always corrective waves. And most of the time, these X waves are zigzags themselves. So the A wave is a 5, the B wave is a 3, and the C wave is a 5. And so now that we have ABC, 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 or this can be labeled as an X wave, we need to have a way of labeling the entire structure. For this, we use W, X, Y. So the first zigzag we label as a W. This 3-wave move is known as an X, and this ABC is known as a Y. So whenever you see W, X, and Y, those are used to signify that they're made up of ABCs themselves. Now lastly here is our triple zigzag. In the effort of not repeating myself over and over with this, triple zigzags look exactly the same. However, instead of 2 zigzags connected, they have 3 zigzags connected. And this is exactly as you'd expect. Essentially, we take this X wave, we put it at the bottom of the Y wave so that we have another connecting pattern, and then another zigzag comes right off of it. So if we wanted to quickly draw this, we could simply copy paste this X wave, this Y wave, and move them right to the end of where we are now. And now that we have even more waves connected here, another ABC here and another ABC as this whole green structure, we actually need a different way to label triple zigzags. That's where our W, X, Y, X, Z comes into play. So at the beginning of our labeling will look exactly the same, where this will be our W, this will be our X, and this will be our Y, and then we just label the next 2 waves the same way. We have another X wave in here, followed by a Z wave. And there you have it, triple zigzag. In the next video in this series, we'll go over flats. I'll give you the guidelines and characteristics of those and talk about regular flats, expanded flats, and running flats. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like this video and want to see part 5, please like this video and let me know in the comments. And of course, hit that subscribe button so that you can be updated when part 5 does go live. I hope you guys learned something today, and I'll catch you next week.